Hey everyone, happy Tuesday, and welcome to Season 3 of the Parent Podcast. I hope you had an amazing time of worship this weekend with our church family here at ABC. I'm Josh, youth pastor here at Acton Baptist, and want to thank you for joining me on your drive, your lunch break, or just that time you set aside for this each week. So, without further ado, let's get to it. First of all, thank you for letting me take yesterday off. It was the last day of summer vacation for Granbury ISD, and I decided what better way to celebrate that than to hang out with my daughter. I just want to say to those of you who are in the late teenage years of raising your kids, how did you deal with the whole growing up thing? My daughter is 10 and is in her last year of school before entering the youth group here at Acton, and it just seems like time refuses to slow down, so I will take all the advice that you're willing to give. Last week, guys, we started talking about communication with our teens. Just so you know, today was a hard one for me to listen to the first time that I went through it. So I do want to give you a warning before we begin today. Philippians chapter 2, verse 4 says, "Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others." In what ways are you allowing your kids to develop their voice through expressing their opinions, their desires, their passions, and their thoughts? Do you plan intentional time to listen? Listen carefully with no agenda. And are you listening to connect, or are you listening to affirm? So listening to connect versus listening to affirm are two very different types of listening. Listening to affirm is reiterating what someone has said to you, whereas listening to connect is heading into a conversation neutral, without having made up your mind beforehand how you're going to respond. It also means not having a ready-made story about what you think happened or didn't happen and the answer to go along with it. That is not listening to connect. That's listening to respond. But what if you entered a conversation and just listened? What if you asked questions for which you had no answers and you made no assumptions? How would that feel for you? How do you think it would feel for them? If we don't listen to connect, we could end up manipulating, dictating, or controlling the outcome of the conversation. Expressing your hopes and dreams to your children is one thing. Telling them what to do or how to think is quite another. Trying to control the outcome of their choices might fit better into your plans, but not necessarily God's. It's important to affirm the voice of your kids as they grow. Now, it doesn't mean you agree with everything they say. I certainly don't agree with my child on all points. But I often ask myself, do they feel like they've been heard? When you ask yourself the same question, you can answer authentically after you've listened, without an agenda, without judgment, and without assumption. When you listen closely for a glimpse into the heart of your child and listen beyond the behavior, the possibility for connection opens up. There's another important question you will want to ask yourself. Are you hearing what your kids are saying, or are you dismissing their ideas and thoughts because of fear? Fear is a powerful emotion that can take you in a direction you don't want to go. Are you making up movies in your mind about what you think is going on? We do this as parents, not always consciously, but it does happen. I know I've done it. I'm not proud of it. So pay attention to how you're listening and responding. And be aware of your quick answers, your body language, your facial expressions, your eyes, your words, and your tone. And I know that's a lot. But consider what's going on inside of you while your child is sharing their opinions or thoughts on an important matter. Sometimes it's not what we say that gets us in trouble, but our body language and our facial expressions. Kids can sense your fear, your disapproval, and your attitude even if you say nothing. Trying to control the outcome of their choices might fit better into your plans, but not necessarily God's. My daughter picks up on facial reactions almost immediately. I can't get away with anything. Had I paid closer attention to a few of these nonverbal cues early on with her, maybe the outcome of some of my conversations might have been more influential. The goal is to keep the lines of communication continually open, which is only possible through humility, a tender heart, and guidance by the Holy Spirit. Often in our lives, there's this pruning process that brings about new life, like a necessary ending, allowing for a new beginning. And as we journey through those new seasons, our hearts are bonded together in a fresh way, stronger and different than in the past. Simple and intentional actions build trust, and that's worth every pain we as parents face. And I want you to know that what I'm saying doesn't change your role to guide and direct your children, but just simply keep communication open. Let them understand the why behind your guidance. And, because they're teenagers, tell them again and again and again until they deeply understand that why. You know, what a difference truly hearing can make in your relationship with your kids, but also with everyone in your life. Giving people a voice sets them on the right path in relationships, helps them solidify their identity as they express who they are and what they believe. And in return, you're going to gain understanding and insight, which will support the relationship moving forward. Because this creates what most of us want, an essence of peace and harmony, especially with those we love. So a few announcements before we finish up today. Again, it's that time of year where we reset our Remind texting service. Go ahead and head to actonbaptist.com/youth and click the link in the Parent Center to register. And then finally, our fall calendar will be out next Monday. Look for us to share it on our Facebook page. It's also going to be on the wall going down to the youth room. Our first fall event will be Saturday, September 7th. Our youth group is going to be heading to Cidercade in Fort Worth for an afternoon of arcade games. The cost is $15, and as with all of our youth events, parents are more than welcome to attend. Thank you so much for listening today. Know that I'm praying for you and your family every day. If you haven't already, make sure to follow our social media accounts on Facebook and on Instagram by searching for AB Youth Min. Also, go ahead and share our podcast so our reach can go out that much further. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you here at Acton Baptist and on the Parent Podcast next week.